Day everyone, today I will be sharing about Jose Rizal higher education and the awakening of his national consciousness. First, the execution of three martyr priests, Mariano Gomez, Jacinto Zamora, and Jose Burgos, collectively known as Gamborza, has deep impact on Rizal life. His brother Pasiano, who personally witnessed the cruelty of Spanish government, shared his frustrations with young Jose. This made Rizal aware, even at early age, in his injustice of the Spanish colonizers. In fact, Rizal later dedicated his second novel, El Filibusterismo, to honor this priest. When Rizal entered Ateneo Municipal de Manila, he proved to be an excellent student. He faced challenges at first, but through determination, he quickly rose to the top of his class and was even promoted to the highest rank, called Emperor. He graduated with degree Bachelor in Arts with the highest honors, and even during his studies, he showcased his talents in writing poems and crafting sculptures such as the famous Sagrado Corazon de Jesus.
To continue, after Ateneo, Rizal pursued further studies at the University of Santo Tomas, UST. At first, he took philosophy, then shifted to medicine because he wanted to help his mother, who was losing her eyesight. However, Rizal's years in UST were filled with difficulties. He experienced discrimination from some Dominican professor and felt that method of instructions was outdated. These hardships, together with his desire for broader knowledge, pushed him to leave the Philippines in 1882 to continue his study in Spain at the Universidad Central de Madrid. There, he earned multiple degrees in philosophy, letters, and medicine. Now, let me share my opinion. For me, Rizal's journey shows the power of education, not only to uplift one's self but also to awaken awareness about society problems. Despite facing discrimination and challenges, Rizal did not give up on learning. Instead, he used education as a weapon to fight for reforms and to serve the Filipino people. I believe that the students today, we should be inspired by Rizal, perseverance, and his love for the country. His story reminds us that education is not only personal success but also a responsibility to help others and seek to justice. Thank you, and we all carry Rizal example of excellence, courage, and patriotism in our lives.
In 1882, Rizal went to Spain to continue his studies. According to some accounts, the underlying reason as to why he is leaving the Philippines is because of his secret pact with his brother Pasiano. Only a handful of people knew of his departure. Both his parents and his lover, Leonor Rivera, are unaware of it. Rizal's mission in Spain is to observe life abroad, to write a book displaying Filipino nationalism.
Pasiano primarily funded Rizal's trip abroad and regularly sent him money for his daily expenses. But when the agrarian crisis in Calamba took place, Rizal's allowance got delayed. In order to survive, Rizal had to pawn the diamond ring his sister Saturina gave him before he left Spain. He also had to cut costs by skipping meals and eating toyo, or dried fish. Despite of this, Rizal never lost focus. On his first visit to a foreign country, he witnessed the carefree attitude of Singaporeans. This is because their rights as citizens were respected and their authorities were not abusive. After this, he traveled to Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, Egypt, Italy, and France before arriving in Barcelona, Spain.
To relieve his homesickness, Rizal regularly met his former schoolmates from Ateneo. He wrote articles for a Manila-based newspaper and published an essay entitled El Amor Patrio, Love of Country. Rizal also spent time growing his personal library. This includes books on the US, presidents, and English civil wars. Rizal had two favorite books in his collection: Uncle Tom's Cabin, 1852 by Harriet Beecher, Stone the Wandering Jew, 1844 by Eugene Sue. These books became his motivation to start drafting his own books because it reminded him of the unjust relationship between Filipinos and Spaniards.
Aside from reading and writing, Rizal also took interest in joining Freemasonry because of its display of courage and camaraderie. It didn't take long for him to join the ranks, as he was given access to the Acacia Lodge of the Masonic fraternity through his uncle Jose Alberto's influence. In Madrid, Rizal met Don Pablo Ortiga y Rey, a former Manila alcalde whose house hosted gatherings of Filipino students. He soon joined the Círculo Hispano-Filipino led by Juan Ataide, and often met with fellow Los Indios Bravos members, including renowned painters Juan Luna and Felix Resurrección Hidalgo. Rizal also focused himself with learning English, German, and French. Even with his many engagements, Rizal still found time to continue drafting his book. One of his greatest influences was Dr. Fyodor Hagor, a German scientist and traveler, whom he met in Berlin. Dr. Hagor's book inspired Rizal to highlight education as the answer to the Philippines' current social condition. Dr. Maximo Viola is the biggest contributor to Rizal's pursuit in writing. He financed the publication of the 2,000 initial copies of Rizal's first book, Hunoli Mitangere, in 1887. Copies were given to Viola and Rizal's friends in Spain, and some eventually reached the hands of the Governor-General of the Philippines and the Archbishop of Manila as it was shipped off to the Philippines. After this, Viola accompanied Rizal to Austria to finally meet Dr. Ferdinand Blumentritt, with whom Rizal exchanged letters and books for several years and considers as one of his advisors. Rizal went on to travel Rome and other parts of Italy before returning to the Philippines to personally witness the impact of his novel.
The Ilustrados. Before Rizal arrived in Spain, many Filipino students were already studying there, like Pedro Patirno and Gregorio Santiago. These students were part of the Ilustrados, or the educated class, who played a big role in awakening nationalism. When Rizal reached Spain in 1882, he witnessed a government in chaos, corruption in politics, and constant power struggles. At the same time, Spain was influenced by liberalism, which opened Rizal's mind to new ideas. He also encountered the concept of assimilation, the idea that the Philippines could become a province of Spain with equal rights for Filipinos. Rizal started contributing to the bilingual newspaper Diaryong Tagalog with Marcelo H. del Pilar, promoting reforms and education. The propaganda movement. In Spain, Rizal became part of the propaganda movement along with other Filipino reformists like Graciano Lopez, Jaina, and Marcelo del Pilar. They used writing as their main weapon against the abuses of the friars and the Spanish colonial government. Rizal contributed to newspapers and wrote essays calling for reforms. In 1884, he attended the Exposition de Bellas Artes in Madrid, where Filipino painters Juan Luna and Felix Resurrección Hidalgo were honored for their works. Their success symbolized Filipino talent and potential. Rizal encouraged the youth to follow in their footsteps, proving that Filipinos were capable of the great. La Solidaridad and Rizal's writings in 1888. Rizal joined the La Solidaridad, an organization and newspaper led by Filipino liberals in Spain. It became the voice of the reform movement, demanding equality before the law, freedom of speech, and representation for Filipinos. One of Rizal's most famous works was the Letter to the Young Women of Malolos in 1889, where he praised the courage of women who fought for education. He also wrote The Philippines a Century Hence, predicting the future of the nation and the indolence of the Filipino, where he explained that Filipinos were not naturally lazy but victims of colonial oppression. Through his writings, Rizal awakened national consciousness and inspired Filipinos to pursue reforms and eventually independence.
Rizal studies abroad. Rizal studied medicine at the Universidad Central de Madrid from 1882 to 1885. But aside from studying, he actually had a secret mission supported by his brother Pasiano. The real reason was to prepare himself to help liberate Filipinos from Spanish oppression. So his studies were not just for personal success but also for the future of the country. Writing and publication of Nulimi Tangere. While abroad, Rizal also worked on writing his famous novel, Nulimi Tangere. He finished the manuscript in 1807 with financial support from his friends Maximus Viola and Pasiano. The first 2,000 copies were printed in Berlin. However, the novel was quickly condemned by the church because it exposed abuse and was seen heretical and subversive. Still, this book opened the eyes of Filipinos and became a key stay in inspiring the Philippine Revolution.
Despite the strict censorship imposed by the Spaniards, Filipinos managed to circulate Nolimi Tangere through the help of Jose Marie Basa, the hero smuggler of the propaganda movement. Clever and brave strategies were used, such as hiding the books inside burry sacks and transporting them through carretelas, making it possible for ordinary people to secretly access and read the novel. This act of resistance not only spread the book but also spread hope, courage, and awareness among the Filipinos. The role of Nolimi Tangere in awakening national consciousness cannot be denied. It opened the eyes of Filipinos to the injustices of colonial rule, challenged the silence of oppression, and planted the seed of nationalism that would later grow into the fight for freedom. Rizal's work became the sparks that ignited the flames of unity and courage in a people long silenced by fear.
My option. For me, Rizal's efforts showed the true power of education and writing in inspiring change. His novel was not just a story but a mirror of society that forced Filipinos to confront reality. Even though Noli Me Tangere was written more than a century ago, the issues it raised, such as corruption, abuse of power, and inequality, and even the misuse of religion for selfish gain, are still relevant today. Rizal's work reminds us that awareness is the first step toward freedom and that the pain can, in needed, be mightier than the sword.